Good morning, everyone. I wanted to share an email that I got yesterday, May 2nd, to my podcast inbox because I think it's a real teachable moment for us and might be helpful for you to hear. And I want to say this with as much compassion and truth as I can, that this email has everything to do with the person who sent it and very, very little to do with our podcast. So here it goes. I actually printed it off. The title is Embodiment in the Church. I'm a huge fan. That's nice. But upon listening just now to your embodiment episode from last fall, I feel moved to ask, parentheses, plead with, you to consider whether your words about what the church teaches are fair. I have no quarrel with your discussion of what you experienced in church, especially as young women. I have no doubt that much of that persists today, but those experiences are not universal. So this is like hashtag not all churches, right? Okay. I'm a pastor who does not teach the kind of purity nonsense nor body negativity that you discussed in this episode. I'm so glad to hear it. If you had said, some churches teach, or I was taught, that would be fair. But I'm not alone in seeking to share the gospel in a way that is, in my opinion, more true to the fullness of what Jesus was getting at. When I hear post-evangelicals rail against what was not right in the church they experienced, I'm saddened that miss the version of the church, closer to the one I have known, that might have felt life-giving. Yeah, I'm saddened and I'm pissed about it. The polemic against a particular version of church, as if it describes the whole church with capital W, capital C, makes my work harder because it suggests there's just not much in the church for anyone who is at all woke. All right, that's a dig at millennials. I don't believe that's true. I've given my life to it not being true. I sense it is not your intention to say never church. But even if it is, I hope you'll give some careful thought to how you talk about what the church teaches. Again, as I said, I am a huge fan. I have listened to every episode. I find you to be wise and thoughtful guides as to so many subjects that you have tackled. In light of that overall experience of your care and intentions, this particular area, in this and other episodes, feels out of sync. And I hope you'll consider this concern as to whether continue your great work. I'm not sure what they meant there. I'd be glad to talk with you about this if you have questions or you hear this as anything other than a sincere statement of concern and truly a love and hope for the church that is hard to make real in this time. All right, y'all. What this sounds like to me is like saying hashtag not all white people, hashtag all lives matter, hashtag not all men. What this person is failing to recognize is that our very accurate indictment of Western white church is on point. And that by being part of this institution, even as someone who tries very hard to push back against the norms, does not want to look at the fact that they uphold these really problematic messages in the church. And I say this as someone who is an ordained minister myself, right? I recognize that I participate in and uphold Christian supremacy by having gone to seminary, by having gotten ordained, by going by reverend. I too am part of this, and it is uncomfortable when there are people who put a mirror up to us and say, look at what you are participating in. This person was triggered by the conversation that we had about embodiment and felt the need to send an email asking us to change our language to censor ourselves about an issue that has impacted marginalized bodies for centuries. Institutional church has historically persecuted bodies that are not male, that are not white, that are not able-bodied, that are not straight. This is the church. This is the universal church and how it has functioned. And of course, there are people who are working against that. I consider myself one. But to push back on the language and ask us to water it down and to not be crystal clear about the role of the Western church, especially in the United States, and how it continues to be weaponized to disembody people, is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to not talk about it, because it has been so central to my personal story and to the stories of so many people I know and stories of people I don't know. So no, I'm not going to censor my language. Sure, maybe we'll couch it a little bit differently, but I'm not going to step away from speaking truth about how problematic the church is. And what I wish that this person had done is actually take a step back and do some self-reflection about why they were triggered so much by the conversation, instead of making it about me and about our words. It's really about this person. I also really rail against the idea of, I know that this person is probably a baby boomer. The ageism of using words like woke and coming after post-evangelicals. I actually call myself a recovering evangelical because it's still so much a part of my theological blueprint. But I find it really offensive to come at younger folks who are speaking up about their experiences of purity culture and how devastating it was, from older folks who didn't experience it. Lucky for you that you were not subject to that the way that we were. What I wish you would do instead is stand in solidarity with us and join us in calling out the church and helping us transform it. So that's all to say that if you listen to something or read something that triggers you, that is an opportunity for you to learn something about yourself. And rather than lash out, take a step back and do that introspection within yourself. If you're a white person, if you're a straight person, if you're a cis person, if you have economic means, whatever it is, it's an opportunity for you to learn about yourself. So I hope that you all will hear that and hear both my understanding of where this person is coming from, but also my refusal to back down, especially in a platform that's mine. So that's my message for today. I promise to include some more dance videos soon, but I had to speak my truth, and I hope you'll receive it and think about it for a bit. Okay, have a good day.